Hey, welcome to Ripples Rising, empowering voices creating waves of change. Today, my guest is a best selling author, an entrepreneur, and a fierce advocate for self worth and authentic leadership. She lost her lifetime job, sold her house, and instead of staying silent, she picked up a mic. Today, she is the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, one of the top 1% downloaded podcasts globally, and the author of the number one Amazon bestseller, I Buried Her in a French Press. A raw, honest story of identity, loss, and finding your voice after you have lost it. Please help me welcome my fellow Rippler, Sarah Barnes-Humphrey.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Jacklyn.
Oh, wonderful. Well, yes, I read your book the past month and a lot of great growing ideas and tips in there. And I call it how not to beat yourself up. But the word is, was it rumination?
Oh, yes, rumination is that's a big word and it's a tough one for everybody.
It is. It is. I had
Mhm.
never really known the word, even though we're all very closely familiar with beating yourself up. So, rumination.
Yeah,
And
rumination, beating yourself up, almost kind of the same thing, right?
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, tell me about that. Tell me about your growing and learning process. Because I read your book. It was a lifetime company job that you were in, and
Mm.
it was pulled out from under you. Sometimes what happens in the big corporation world.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely does. So it was my family business and I wanted to take over it since I was 16. And so I jumped into the family business right out of high school. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. I actually took all of my courses, and this is going to date me. I took all of my courses by correspondence. That's what it was called before it was online. So they would like mail me the material and then I would have to have a proxy for any of the tests and things like that that I was doing. So anyways, I started off as reception. I worked my way up in that family business and about 10 days before my 37th birthday, they ended up closing the doors, but I had started this podcast in 2016 and I had called it Two Babes Talk Supply Chain. I had a male co-host. We were trying to push the industry to see how far we could take it. And then yeah, 10 days before my 37th birthday, I lost everything. But I had companies that were paying to come on the podcast, so I had to learn graphic design, social media, website design, you name it. I had to do it really quickly. And that's what we did because I couldn't find a job.
You figured it out. You had to fly by the seat
Absolutely.
of your pants.
I'm still doing that. No, I'm just kidding.
And so then what happened? How did you get into, so you talked a little bit about your podcasting, but Sarah, and part of that, and I dare say there was a part that you were mopping floors. I mean,
Yeah.
how, whether it's humiliating or humbling, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, so one of the hardest things for me was trying to find a job at that time. I had never really had to find a job. I'd never been on an interview before. And I applied to all these different roles that I knew I would be good at, but I didn't even get a call back. And I didn't pay myself for the first 3 years of the media brand as it is today. It wasn't that back then.
Mhm.
And so I needed to find a way to bring in some income. And so I took 2 part-time jobs while I was building the business.
Mhm.
One of those was a receptionist at a indoor tennis club. And so, excuse me, I went from director of sales and marketing to receptionist, and part of the duties of being a receptionist was to mop the floors.
Yeah.
And so essentially I went from director to mopping floors, but what it allowed me to do was it allowed me to work on my business while I was there. Obviously not when I was doing the work that needed to get done, but I
Mhm.
was able to do it in off time and things like that. And the second job, part-time job that I had was scoring men's basketball. And that was probably the most terrifying experience ever because they all think that they're NBA players, and if you do tiniest thing wrong, they start yelling at you. So,
Ugh.
I did that until the pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, it actually shut down all of my part-time jobs.
All right.
And but digital content took off. So I sort of doubled down on that. But at the same time, I had some side hustles too.
Hmm.
I had like 4 or 5 businesses that I was trying to build at the same time
Yeah.
just to sort of see which one would take off. And the media business was the one that I was meant to do.
There you go. Throw it all against the wall and see what's going to stick.
Mhm.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, your story, if I may interject for a minute, reminds me. Do you know the story of Chris Christopherson? The
No.
singer. Oh my goodness. So he was a 82nd Airborne Army Ranger, had
Okay.
served our country, and then he wanted to be a songwriter so bad. I think his parents wanted him to be a doctor. His parents wanted him to be a doctor. He didn't want to be a doctor. He was cleaning studios in Memphis, or I'm sorry, Nashville, Tennessee, until finally someday Johnny Cash came across him, which he became part of the Highwaymen. Chris Christopherson, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and Waylon Jennings. Chris Christopherson. Yes, he used to clean studios in Nashville, and he was thinking and doing about his songwriting and business, what he really had in his heart to do while he was cleaning
Right.
studio space. There you go.
Yeah.
You're on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think there's signs that sort of show themselves as long as you're paying attention and you're aware.
Mhm.
There's signs that will show up every once in a while. I did have somebody tell me because in the end I had technology business and then I had the media business.
Mhm.
And I had somebody, a good friend of mine, actually say to me that the technology business was draining me
Mm.
and that I was thriving with the media business.
Okay.
And that was part of the moment where I pivoted specifically for the media business. There was
Mm.
a couple of other things that happened with the technology business, but that's why I chose the media, or one of the reasons. Mhm.
Yeah, good deal. And how long have you been having your podcast now?
So the podcast's been around since 2016.
Okay.
So 10 years, but we rebranded it to Let's Talk Supply Chain in 2018.
There you go.
So as
2018.
Let's Talk Supply Chain, it's been about 8.
And that's really important. Let's talk supply chain, your niche, for a moment, because I'm in Northwest Arkansas, home of Walmart, JB Hunt,
Mm.
Tyson's, and I raise cattle. I have cattle, I have calves, and it's like people just think they get their beef out of the freezer. No, it's got to go through logistics to get to that freezer for somebody to get,
Mhm.
and everything that you deal with is logistics.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually just did an Instagram post, with my favorite ice cream shop, and I showed the cup of ice cream that I had, and I said it was a nice treat for 84-degree weather, and they actually reached out to me, and they had studied logistics for their ice cream shop,
Okay.
and they wanna do a short interview with me because they wanna talk about cold chain. Right? Like,
Okay.
things, the ingredients, the raw materials, everything, even for ice cream shops, need to move to that shop for them to be able to provide you with ice cream.
That's correct. That's
And
correct.
so everything that we touch, feel, we eat, we see on a daily basis has touched supply chain or logistics in some way or another.
Yes, yes, yes. There's a another story I read about. Some kids want their parents to come in to talk at school, and this kid's a doctor, father's a doctor, the mother's a CEO, very important people, and all this. And this one kid's granddad or father was a truck driver.
Yeah.
A truck driver. Well, then the truck driver got up and he kind of said, "Well, you couldn't get your medicines without me. You couldn't get, your paper supply, anything you're getting done without the trucking industry."
Yeah,
Yes.
somebody said the other day, so we have a community called Secret Society of Supply Chain. And somebody said in the community the other day, I think they said we're only 6 decisions away from famine,
Yeah.
right? In logistics. Like if you work in logistics and supply chain, we're like
Mm-hmm.
6 decisions or 6 degrees, or it was 6 of something
True.
from famine.
Mhm.
because, like, the global economy, the food that we eat, the medicines that we need, they all travel through a supply chain.
Oh, absolutely. Last year I was over in Winslow, Arizona, and huge trains coming through. It used to be a train station, train depot there in
Mhm.
Winslow, Arizona, which is about desolate now. But and I forget the train company that was going through the BNSF, maybe.
Yeah, BNSF.
There you
Mhm.
go. Yeah, but it was huge, huge amount of trains, and what they call it now, intermodal, and that's what JB Hunt, intermodal, because
Yep.
it's not only what I mean. Explain that better than I can. It's not only truck driving or trains. It's a whole gambit of food.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
like, if we got into supply chain, the how I sort of explain supply chain, it starts with sourcing. You have to source raw materials or finished goods or things like that. Then you have to buy it. Then you have to manufacture it. Then you have to move it because it's usually manufactured in a different country, or maybe it's not. Even if it's manufactured in the US, it still needs to get to a warehousing distribution facility.
True.
And then from there, it gets delivered into a retail store or it gets delivered to your door. And
That's
so
right.
that's all of supply chain. And so that can involve trucks. It can involve robots now, right? They deliver your food. It can
Mhm.
involve drones,
Yep.
air, like planes, ocean, train, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, more so than planes, trains, and automobiles. Yes, the drones. In fact, I think it was over here in Pea Ridge, a suburban of Bentonville, Arkansas, that Walmart was testing their drone services.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, and it's getting more and more frequent, and they've just tested, I think, Uber taxis too that are flying, like air taxis.
I've heard about that. Yes, that'd be
Mhm. So
great when you.
we're getting into the Jetsons, Jacklyn.
Arr!
I don't know how I feel
No,
about it.
no, you're right. In fact, I don't know if you've seen that, but they did a comparison of what was showing on the Jetsons show way back then. Was it George Jetson, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And Rose, was it Rosie the robot?
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And but the TV screens, like we have our computers now, flat screen, and the comparisons of what was in the cartoon back in the 70s or 70s compared to what we do have today.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy.
We're living it.
Yeah, we absolutely, absolutely are. Now you said you read the book. What did you think about the book in general?
Oh, the book in general is very good, Sarah, and really thank you for writing that. There's what is important, I think, for people to know that there is so much information and so much wisdom already out here that you don't have. We have lived it for you. We
So
have written it for you. We have our experiences. And I buried her in a French press, and I finally got to the tagline like more than halfway through your book. It's like, oh, that's why she named it that. Okay.
yes,
You know,
there
and
is a story. There's a reason why it's an ode to my step-grandmother, and there's a story in the book around why I called it "I Buried Her in a French Press."
oh, absolutely. And you did what you had to do. You did what you
Mhm,
had to do, and it was the right thing to do, wasn't it?
mhm. It absolutely was. In the end, it ended up being the right thing to do, and it was her best friend and the rest of the family that reminded me of that.
See, so you had confirmation as well.
Mhm.
Sounded weird, looked weird, but it worked, and you had confirmation for it.
Yes, that's so true.
Yes. Yeah, but in that book, Sarah, is how you had to reinvent yourself because
Mhm.
when I was in Dallas, I had numerous jobs, single in Dallas, and yeah, as a secretary, I had to learn how to make coffee. They didn't teach me that in college, how to make coffee or how to make somebody a VO and water for drinks and stuff. I didn't learn how to do that in college, but and then I guess I was getting too antsy because I got my real estate license and I wanted to do more. And I think they were frustrated with me. I was frustrated with them. So they fired me, but wanted me to stay on to train the next person. So I did that for about 3 days and left anyway. So yeah. So, it's a matter of, as we say in the South, as you're in the South, pick yourself up by your bootstraps to move on. You got to
Yeah, I
pick
always say progress over perfection,
There you go. Progress over
right?
perfection.
Each day is gonna look differently, and if you're only at 40% today, it doesn't mean you're gonna be at 40% tomorrow.
No. You need to make a conscious effort. I mean, you can lick your wounds, as we all have, lick your wounds. And, you got to pick yourself up and move on. Let's stop for a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, Sarah? Hi, I'm Jacklyn Ryan, host of Ripples Rising and the author of Caregiver Caretakers Exposing Fraud in Senior Care. Can you fathom home care agencies bringing people into your vulnerable loved ones' homes who are not fingerprinted or background checked? Because of what happened to my parents on separate occasions and many other people, I have authored this book, Caregiver Caretakers. My mission is to require caregivers to be fingerprinted and background checked. In my book, there are resources and guidelines to better qualify home care agencies and also help you a little with estate planning. Check me out at caregiverscaretakers.com. Don't let my story be your story. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. With Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, we're talking about her book, I Buried Her in the French Press, and about really reinventing ourselves because, you may have the job that you've enjoyed and you've had it for whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 15 years. And then for an unknown reason, corporate strategy, whatever, downsizing, upsizing, that the rug's pulled out from under you. And so, what are you going to do? And that's what Sarah and I are really talking about here, how to pick yourself up, reinvent yourself, and to move forward, to make, as she said in our last part, progress over perfection.
Yeah. Yeah, and, when you read the book, I think a lot of people feel like most people are overnight successes, and they're really not,
No.
right? It took me over 40 years to figure out what my superpower was. And
See?
even then it took this session that I did around personal branding and for him to say your personal brand should be about one word, and I was like, one word, how am I going to do that? And so it really made me think about what is it that I do? How do I do it? Am I really a podcast? No, I'm not really a podcast or even a podcaster. What is my superpower? What's my strength? But I think if we all really think about some of the things that we've been through and take a look at who we became afterwards, what did we learn from it?
Mm.
What's been the common theme throughout that has made us true to ourselves? That's sort of how I figured out what my superpower was. And I think the
Mhm.
other part of it too is everybody thinks that you have to be 100% confident all the time and have your voice all the time. And you don't. You're going to find it, you're going to lose it, you're going to find it again. And that's really, you were talking about waves at the beginning of this episode, right? That's
Yes.
really the opportunity of being human and the journey that is this life.
It is. And that is this, life, what is it? Life is the journey. We are living the journey. You're never going to meet your destination because it's always your goal moving
Well, you
forward.
will at some point.
Yes.
You will at some point, right? Because we all have that destination at some point of the transition, right?
Yes. Yes.
But it's the journey before you get there.
It's a journey. It's a journey. And ripples, two people had told me within a 2 weeks time that what I'm working on in the state of Arkansas is going to cause ripples throughout the healthcare industry.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but the legislation did not pass last year, so I'm working on it again for this year, for next year, for 2027, and it will be a ripple. Actually, Sarah, it's going to be a tidal wave,
Yes,
huh?
it is.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
I'm working to require caregivers to be fingerprinted and background checked. What a concept!
Mm.
Yeah, these people that come into your homes are
Yeah.
not fingerprinted. They may not be background checked. It's more of a state by state. And I realized, Sarah, I wasn't thinking big enough. I need to think of a federal level
Mhm.
instead of a state by
Mhm.
state. Some states do have fingerprint background checks. Some states don't have fingerprinting at all, like
Wow.
Arkansas. Yeah. So, and then they work for 10 to 14 an hour and just are welcome to come into your vulnerable's home. And for making little money, they might feel entitled to shop around in the house.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm working on making a tidal wave, which, as you know, tidal waves don't happen overnight. It takes time. So we're working on it, Sarah.
They don't, and sometimes you have to hear no a lot before you get that one big yes.
It is correct. It is correct. You know, you got to keep making the connections. I met with a prosecuting attorney this morning here locally, and you know, you got to ask, right, Sarah? I mean,
Mhm.
we've got to ask, and I think, Sarah, when we were, you know, when I was younger, it's like, and I see some other young people, it's like, well, okay, it is what it is. And I hear this, it is what it is. No, it's not. It's what you make it. It's what you
Mhm.
make it. It's not just resolve yourself. It is what it is. And I used to feel that way. Well, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be. Well, stop it. You know, you got to make a conscious effort to put things in place to make things happen.
Yeah.
You can, you know, if it's destined to be that way, is it? Or is it up to you to try to figure something out different to change your own destiny, right?
Yeah. And it can be exhausting,
It is exhausted.
right?
It is
But it's
exhausting.
like it's part of the journey, it's constantly having to figure out and things are changing all the time. I mean,
Absolutely.
look at AI, right?
Yeah.
Look at LLMs, how are people using that?
Oh my.
Look at your own personal health.
Yeah.
You have to be an advocate for that. Or
Absolutely.
your vulnerable loved ones, right? You have to be an
Yes.
advocate for that because
Yes.
there's only so much that everybody can truly understand of what's going on
Oh.
based on the amount of information that's out there.
Oh. And,
And a lot of times, even in the healthcare, and you read my journey with lipedema in the book.
yes, I
You know,
did.
that's an autoimmune disease that I have, and I do talk about it in the book because I think it's important. It affects 11%
Yes.
of women in
Yes.
the world. And, to be an advocate and to try different things, and if something doesn't work, to stand up again and try something else, be open to trying something else. You know, that's how you sort of narrow it down, that's how you get through the noise, that's how you try to figure out what works for you, because what works for me isn't necessarily gonna work for you. We
Right.
could both have lipedema,
Yes.
and yet, you know, this treatment for this person worked, but this treatment for me didn't work. And so what does that mean for me as an individual?
See? Right.
Yeah.
While you're on it, and I know it's so hard for you to find the diagnosis for it and
It
all these
is.
dingbat doctors out there. So explain to our audience briefly about what lipedema is. Yes.
Yeah, so lipedema is an autoimmune, and it's where the fat doesn't travel through the body like everybody else, and it gets trapped, and as it gets trapped over time, it creates, scar tissue, which makes it even harder for things to travel through, and it affects 11% of women. I battled with it, I still battle with it, but I didn't know what it was for about 15 years. Took me a really long time to try to figure out what it was. I went to a lot of different specialists because I had a doctor that was advocating for me. She didn't know what it was, and so she's like, "We're gonna send you to do everything." So that's what we did, and nothing worked until I found a holistic functional medicine doctor.
Mhm.
Through cortisol and food sensitivities, I lost 8 centimeters on my calves alone. But then during the pandemic, it got worse because that's what happened. As you age, it actually gets worse.
Yeah.
And so my cousin was watching an episode of Love Island UK, and the lady on that show had it. She's like, "You need to watch her YouTube video." And so I watched it and I was like, self diagnosis time. This is what I've got. And I went to a specialist in lipedema, and I had my first surgery booked within about 5 months from that.
So have you had two surgeries or more since then?
I've had 2 surgeries. I do need to have a third, but I need to get my inflammation in check, and I'm having a really, really hard time with that. So,
Mm.
we're gonna try another round of treatments in about a month or so,
Mhm.
to see what that's gonna do, and then I will most likely go for the surgery. But I have such a busy travel schedule
Yeah.
that I'm just not entirely sure when I'm gonna do it, so we'll see.
You're too busy for this.
I kind of am, right? Somebody needs to tell my lymphedema to go away. Stop fighting for it.
You explained about the fatty cells not traveling through your body, so it causes you to have extra large ankles, lower calves.
So I had like a shelf on my ankle,
Mm,
and I still do actually. If I get really inflamed and things like that, you can sort of see the shelf.
mm,
And then it shows up in your upper arms. So,
mm.
like, I was working out 4 days a week, and I still had this shelf on my ankle. And I was playing softball 4 days a week and still going to the gym, and that was in my early 20s,
Wow.
and nothing was making a difference.
See?
Yeah, I know. And a lot of times people think you're obese, and you're not. It's an autoimmune disease,
Right,
right?
right.
And so it's really hard from a mental health standpoint.
It is. And what you said to self advocate, you got to self
Mm.
advocate. So that's very important. We're about ready to wrap up here, Sarah. Um, what's some of our takeaways today?
Read the book. I would love everybody to read the book.
I
We have
buried you in
over
French
50
press.
five-star reviews, and so it's really resonated with a lot of people, and I'd really just like the book to help as many people as possible.
Yes,
I think the other part of it is you can lose everything and then you can get back up again and restart, but restart doesn't mean you're gonna be successful tomorrow, right? It means that you've gotta put one foot in front of the other every single day, process the emotions, process the grief, process whatever you need to process,
yeah,
but keep doing something every day towards it,
that's
right?
right.
Even if it's just small.
Small things. Small
Yeah, and
things.
don't let your labels define you. Don't give power over to your labels, right? I said that I went from director of sales and marketing to receptionist and mopping floors, and it took a lot of self-discovery to get through that.
Yes.
But a lot of times it starts when we have the label. We give a lot of power to that label. We give a lot of
Really.
our power away to that label.
Yes.
And try not to do that because it can be very painful when you lose that label.
Yes. 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 Yeah. You got to keep moving forward, one step in front of the other, regardless of it might be a whole like me and you both, a whole different direction from what we used to do a lot more.
Mhm.
It's a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Yes. Good deal. Okay. Well, thank you, Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. Check her out on Amazon. I buried her in a French press. Her podcast is Let's Talk Supply Chain. And be sure to like, subscribe to Ripples Rising TV on YouTube. And I have my book, Caregiver Scaretakers Exposing Fraud in Senior Care.
Mm.
So I'm causing ripples in the care community because our caregivers need to be fingerprinted background checked, just like realtors and the majority of people do. Thanks a lot for joining Ripples Rising.